UCLA has got the top quarterback, the top prospect in the transfer portal. All right. After all the buzz, after all the drama, after the negotiations, after waiting, after it wasn't official, started with Colin Cowherd and Bruce Feldman before Pete Thamel, for the most part, wrapped that bad boy up. UCLA, through all the reports, stuck it out, and they got Nico Iamaleava. All right. And all the drama and all the baggage that comes with it. What does it mean? They've got a 5-star quarterback. They've got arguably the best player available, especially at the quarterback position in the spring portal. All right. The top prospect available at this part of the season. And if you're thinking in the winter portion of the season, where the portal was open near the end of November, December, right, when the portal was going crazy and really active, UCLA was sitting there, and DeShaun's like, all right, are the Bruins going to get their quarterback? Well, after a little bit, they got Joey Aguilar. A lot of youngsters behind that were wondering, where are these kids going to go? Are they going to sit behind some veteran? Is some youngster going to come take the job? Okay. And then all of a sudden, about a week ago, this all started building and bubbling up. And Nico Iamaleava gets his way to UCLA. All right. So can the kid succeed? That is the biggest question. All right. It's no longer a deal, no deal. Okay. No. Howie Mandel hat off. Can this guy succeed at UCLA? Well, if you're reading the Pete Thamel reports about, all right, the next steps for Joey Aguilar, because he was apparently having a successful camp heading in with Tino Sincerity, the newest offensive coordinator, who has had now quite a few quarterbacks to deal with the last few years, bouncing from team to team, moving into UCLA as the head man, the head honcho, the offensive coordinator at UCLA. No co next to the position of offensive coordinator. He is the man, and a young superstar at that, and everybody seems to love the hire. You mix in a youngster quarterback with big-time experience, hopefully a lot of simplified versions of plays UCLA's run in the past compared to how they had to deal with the Eric Bieniemy offense, transitioning from the Chip Kelly offense. And I think any returner for UCLA from a year ago is going to love the Tino Sincerity offense. Can Nico thrive? As I've mentioned before, DeShaun Foster came out and told the media he's liked what the big boys, the men up front, the offensive line, has done, how they've competed through spring camp. Now, is that just coach speak? Or is that, oh, hey, actually what we've built through recruiting, through the transfer portal, what we've got returning is turning into actual results on the field. We won't know that until the Bruins get ready, put on the pads, and play Utah. All right, we won't know that until August. Now, the fascinating thing is you wonder, hey, how did Nico get to UCLA? Were the grades going to be a thing? Were the academics with this transfer? Were they just waiting for the transcripts to be okayed by UCLA? And that's why this took so long. So if you want to take a quick look at the academic calendar for Tennessee, all right, you're going from a semester system to a quarter system, all right, if you want to get real nerdy into the academic side here, which is still a part of the factor for how these kids have to maneuver from one school to the next. If you're looking at Iamaleava's schedule, based on the spring 2025 schedule, Tennessee, they actually have finals that start in 2 weeks, all right? So if this is already an official, absolute official end of his Tennessee tenure, right, with school and everything, they already announced everything at UCLA. They sent the emails out. I got that email too, Nico to UCLA. Get your donations in. Get your season tickets now. They're hyping it up. He had finals in 2 weeks. If you go back to the Adai part, he had to withdraw from his classes. He went back. His visa literally expired, and then he has to go back home before heading out to workouts with Michigan in the summer. Now, if you look at Nico, this is obviously a different situation, not international. He's coming one where he'll play high school ball in SoCal. The difference here is obviously classes were almost over in 2 weeks. So he was probably winding down in terms of academics for this spring semester anyway. But the unique thing is that at UCLA, just getting things started with the quarter system. Maybe he can take a summer class or two. I don't know. That's a little above my head. That it's a little different going from the Tennessee system, the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, to UCLA and going from semester to quarter and how that all works. But it's a fascinating thought. It does give Nico a full summer, hopefully, to learn an offense That's not the Eric Bieniemy offense. That's not super complicated or as complicated as last year. You've got a guy who's got talent, who's got ability, and for the most part, from hearing what Kirk Herbstreit had to say, from kind of reading different things, this is a likable guy. Is he going to destroy the locker room? I think it would be very tough for one guy to destroy the locker room. This is more the move itself. I don't think Nico is going to come in here and be like, okay, he's just going to completely go crazy. All right, that's just not what I think this situation. It's more, how do the players look to DeShaun Foster in future recruiting situations, in future NIL negotiations in the winter? How do future transfers say, how do you not burn us from the winter heading into spring practice? And this is why, for better or for worse, you have two portal windows, the winter one and the spring one. This wouldn't be happening if you had one window. If you had, now that you have multiple windows, this UCLA is like, hey, we got an opportunity to go get the number one guy and bring him in and still get technically 3 years of eligibility out of this kid. If he stays for 1 to 2 years, that would be successful if he puts some big numbers. It's been a minute since UCLA has had a young, clear-cut number one. All right. We hoped Dante Moore would be that. Didn't end up being the case. It was more Ethan Garbers who waited for his turn. It's been DTR, and we all missed DTR. DTR got a lot of criticism for his play, and now we've missed DTR for his flashiness, his leaping over defenders, the dynamic plays he made on the field with the various running backs in the backfield, where he led UCLA to top 10 contention in his final year, nearing to a Pac-12 championship game. He was dynamite, especially in his final year at UCLA, even if it cost the Bruins a chance at Dillon Gabriel, right? Who bounced around to Oklahoma, finished his career at Oregon, and led them to being a number one team in the country. All right. All because DTR stayed one more year. For Nico, he's a younger guy looking to rebuild his image with an offensive guru who's trying to make a name for himself. And if he was already working with Joey Aguilar, a turnover machine, you mix in the numbers with Nico, okay, he didn't put up big numbers against Ohio State. All right. I don't think anybody was going to put up big numbers against Ohio State. The team won the national championship. And unlike all those other playoff games, if you look at where Nico and his, at the time, Tennessee Volunteers had to go to, it was the first time ever we've seen teams all go on the road to play in the college football playoff. The rest of those games are all neutral site games for Ohio State and the other teams. But Nico, they had to go into the Horseshoe. They had to go into Columbus and expect to win. That wasn't happening for the higher seeded teams, for the teams playing at home, mostly just dominated. So when he comes and what he brings to UCLA is an absolute jolt of energy. Like it or not, the Bruins will have to deal with any off-the-field circus that his camp might bring. Maybe DeShaun's like, we're not doing this, or they are assured from the negotiations that the nonsense will stop. A kid that is talented, that has a good heart, that is ready to go, he can absolutely have success at UCLA. And that's coming from a guy who spent the last week saying, this is something I want to stay away from, but DeShaun Foster thought otherwise. He clearly thought otherwise about this situation and said, hey, I have a chance to make a splash. He understands UCLA needs to get butts in the seats. They need to drive interest. That's why he's having Friday night showcases in addition to a spring game showcase to say, hey, look at the program. We're going to SoCal. We're bringing kids back to SoCal. We are going after the number one guy, and we can maybe even help transform his image. Imagine how successful it's going to help UCLA be in the future for DeShaun Foster if this actually works out. Like, I can talk crap all I want. I can talk all this mess, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else, cool. He comes in here and dominates. Imagine if you have a bad image. You're like, well, UCLA just turned that around. Imagine if you're a quarterback like, wait a minute. They can go generate some interest and compete a little bit with some SEC dollar there. If a guy's going to leave SEC he's asking for a raise and UCLA is like, well, I'll step up and we'll get close to it. Clearly, yes, UCLA didn't have a market. Nico had almost literally no market. Bruins said, hey, we'll take a chance. You can almost forget that UCLA went after Joey Aguilar and they might tell him, or he might decide to go elsewhere. We'll see where he is going to decide to go, if it's staying at UCLA or elsewhere in this springtime at the moment. If Nico succeeds, it will be entertainment at the highest order. I think we're going to see a lot of buzz around UCLA that we would not have if he did not come to UCLA. They go from the butt of the jokes of college football, bottom of the Big Ten, one of the lowest win over-unders in the win-loss total for this season, to, okay, this could help them increase that win total to, we're expecting them to go bowling, versus that would be a treat. And if he puts up some numbers and the Bruins all of a sudden get him close to NFL draft status in 1 year with Tino, or in 2 years, DeShaun will have to get the respect he deserves. If it doesn't work out, well, we all knew it was a circus beforehand. And that's why it'll be entertaining to talk about it some more throughout the rest of the offseason. And you should stick here with Locked On UCLA to talk about it over and over again. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Game Time, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time actually makes it fast and easy to get those playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. And trust me, it is sky high right now. Prices actually go down on the app as tip-off gets closer, and the last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. 60%. For me, when I went to see a game in the NBA earlier this season, I used Game Time. Got to go see a big-time Knicks game in the Garden. And I used Game Time and got the best deal through the Game Time app. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.